Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Jalsa Salana
Huzoor
UK
says
Insha
that Jalsa Salana of UK Jamaat is going to start from next Friday by the grace of Allah. In order to participate in this Jalsa from other countries, the guests have started arriving, and as the days come nearer, the guests from far and wide, they are going to increase in number, and similarly from other cities of UK, the guest would be starting coming. In the guest of Jalsa Salana, apart from Ahmadis, those who, in order to get benefit from the blessings of Jalsa, those who come now in these guests, apart from UK, from other countries, there are some non-Ahmadis and non-Muslims who also come. Among them, there are some government officials of the countries, or some government officers or educated people, they are there. Those who are very influential, they also come and participate in Jalsa. And similarly, the people related to press and media, their number is now increasing. And all these people who come to participate in Jalsa, they observe with very keen eyes everything that we do. And generally they are very much impressed, and particularly when they look at our administration and arrangements, which is all voluntary based arrangement. So then this thing, it opens up other ways of Tabligh and introduction of the community. And regarding Ahmadiyyat, the people become more keen to know more and more. So in these days, our workers, the volunteers, men and women, boys and girls, and children, they are actually performing silent Tabligh, preaching. And through the press, the introduction of Ahmadiyyat in the four corners of the earth, it spreads at a very large scale. Now that the press, the attention of the press, in ordinary days as well, sometime because of certain happenings here and there, they pay attention to the community, and they do pay that attention. For example, here in Europe, some incidents of terrorism took place, and after that the members of the Jamaat, including ladies and men, those who try to convey the true message of Islam to these people. And our press section also played a very important role, and there were various interviews of our missionaries which were broadcast. The Jamaat, with reference to the peaceful teaching of Islam in the world press, the Jamaat has been able to introduce at a very wide scale. And as these incidents are increasing, the introduction of Jamaat is also increasing. So anyway, Huzoor says that during the days of Jalsa, Allah the Almighty in this way, and through the Jalsa, the introduction of Islam, Allah Almighty provides various opportunities of doing that. In the programs of Jalsa, through the speeches as well, while the Ahmadis, they try to increase in their spirituality, they come here for learning, and at the same time the non-Muslim, non-Ahmadi guest and the press people, from intellectual and doctrinal point of view, by listening to our teachings. Along with that, generally, the atmosphere of the Jalsa and the Ahmadi ladies and men and their voluntarily the serving these people, when they look these people who offer these services, then the beautiful teaching of Islam, they are able to practically see that in action. And as I said, that this is a great opportunity of Tabligh. So therefore the volunteers, the role of these voluntary workers is very great, and the workers, in whatever position they may be working, they carry their own importance in itself. And this importance, starting from an ordinary worker and up to the highest official, they should always keep in mind. An ordinary worker and helper, whether he is just a small child who is offering the water to drink, and dedicatedly he is doing this service, while this blesses him with the pleasure of Allah Almighty, at the same time it is also impressing the non-Ahmadi guests. And those guests who come to participate in the Jalsa, they very often mention about that. Similarly, apart from the Muavneen, the workers, the officers, they should also remember that they do not consider only their workers with them and get the help from them during the Jalsa, but they themselves, very modestly, in a humble way, just like an ordinary worker and a volunteer, they should also work like that. From their workers, with the workers and with other people, the guests, their attitude should be very soft, and it should be very cooperative attitude that they should adopt. On the faces, the humbleness and modesty, these feelings should be quite clear. In their tongue, there should be modesty and softness, and good morals should be exhibited by them. They should also remember, this should always be remembered, that hospitality is a very important department. And hospitality does not mean simply to offer the food or offer the water, or at the most to make the arrangement for the accommodation. Rather, each and every department of Jalsa Salana is a hospitality, whatever name may be given to it. At the Jalsa Salana, anybody who comes, all those who come here, they are guests. And to take care of his requirements, needs, according to the available facilities, this is the responsibility of all those people who is performing any sort of duty during the Jalsa. And for that purpose, Hadhrat, the promised Messiah ﷺ, has mentioned his feelings in various places, which is always a basic guidance for us all the time. The promised Messiah ﷺ said that I always have the feeling that no guest should ever suffer any inconvenience. And I always emphasize this point to the members, that as far as it is possible, give comfort and provide comfort to the guests. He said that the heart of the guest is very tender and delicate, just like a glass, and when slightly it is hurt, it is broken. So we should remember that, and we have to put some pressure on ourselves, and we should provide the comfort and convenience to our guest in whatever way it may be possible. And I will say to all the workers of all the departments that if their attitude is soft and if their morals and behavior is good, and you have got the quality of patience in you, and if unpleasant thing is said to them, they have got the courage and strength to bear that. So then their workers and volunteers, they would be showing the same type of attitude, following the good example, and they would be establishing high standards of hospitality by doing so. But if the officers, they are having a grim faces and they are very harsh in certain things, and sometimes they don't have the courage to listen to the people, so then their subordinates and workers, they would also be showing the same sort of attitude. So the high standards of hospitality, if you have to establish that, then the officers of each and every department, they should scrutinize themselves, and modesty and humbleness should be taken to its highest point. As I said, Huzur says that only one or two departments do not come under hospitality, but as a matter of fact, every department is the department of hospitality of Jalsa Salana, whether it is accommodation or the food cooking or the offering the food or the transport or maybe cleanliness of the toilets or the doctors and the paramedics. Based on these people, the Department of Health is there, or the people who are guiding the right path, the Khudam on duty or other people, or the Department of Security, or there are other departments like that. Each and every person, he is a person serving the guest in their own capacity, and the accommodation people should remember that in collective residence and accommodation and in tents, the men, they should take special care regarding the bedding of men and women. Although it is summer, but at night time, sometime the weather suddenly becomes cold, and it can go like that. And in Hadhratul Mahdi, where the Jalsa is going to take place, inshallah, as compared with London, the degree is 4 or 5 degrees less over there. So those people, those who make their own arrangements, they bring their tents along with them, they should remember this point, that there should be proper arrangement for night as well. Bedding should be proper. The experience of last year shows that the people along the children, when the weather became very cold, they become very uncomfortable. And similarly, the people who are serving the food, those who come into contact with the guest directly, I always remind them that the food, when they offer the food, when they put in the plate, then you take care of the like and dislike of the guest. Although it is a very difficult thing, but anyway they should do their best and see to it as much as possible. And if there is some difficulty, so then they should reply in a very positive and gentle way, and so that they may be satisfied, so that there should be no hurting of the feelings of other people. And this year, according to the arrangement of Jalsa, the plates in which the food is going to be served, they have been changed. The previous plates, regarding them it is said, regarding those plates it is said that the food should not be above certain heat, because certain chemicals come out of that material from which the plates have been made, and our food is quite hot. So the officer Jalsa Salana he has shown me those plates which they are going to use. This year they are made of special paper. So then the people who are serving the food, they should be very careful. The plates might be very thin, so in that case 2 plates can be combined together. And the people who are getting the serving the food, that department should be given the proper guidance and information about that. And then the transport arrangement is there. It's a very important department, and this year, because the parking is quite far away, the arrangement of shuttle buses has been made, and this should be made very active by the Jalsa administration this year, so that the people, they can reach Jalsa Gah in time. And the people who are coming on cars, they should also remember that their parking could be slightly away and from quite some distance from Jalsa Gah. So therefore they should keep a margin of time and then start the journey accordingly. Similarly, other departments are there, all of them regarding and for the training of their workers and to give maximum comfort to the guest. They should make all the arrangement with this consideration. Then Khidmat-e-Khalq and the security workers, they should be more vigilant than ever before, considering the conditions of the world these days. And along with that, the respect of the guests and their feelings must be kept in mind. And the whole thing should be done considering these points. To check the cards and the scanning and other things for this purpose. From day one till the last day, full attention has to be paid, and they have to check it properly, very properly. And every time a person goes out and then they come in, then they have to check it again. But this should also be remembered, that they should not have the feeling in any way that only they are being checked and a special treatment is given to them. Anyway, the arrangements of the Jalsa Salana, these are something which are always done, and I have the full realization that this temporary arrangement of Jalsa Salana, because it is all temporary arrangement, there are possibilities of shortcomings and some mistakes. Rather, in permanent arrangements, the deficiencies and weaknesses may be there. But we have to try our best that as far as possible, as far as we can use our facilities and efforts, we have to provide the best possible comfort to the guest, to all the guests. The person who comes to participate in the Jalsa, he is actually the guest of the promised Messiah alayhi salatu wasalam. And Hadhrat, promised Messiah alayhi salatu wasalam, being the guest of him, we have to consider every guest as a special guest, and in his hospitality we have to do our best. Although according to the arrangements of Jalsa Salana, there is a department which is department of observation and inspection. They look after various departments, and if any workers in any department, when they analyze the arrangements, they point out to the deficiency or shortcomings, so they may bring it to the notice of the officer Jalsa Salana. But also the officer of various departments, they should also do so, that they should appoint certain people to look after the deficiencies of their own department, and they should be looking after the deficiencies of their department and report about that in the evening to the officer. And in this way, the quality of the arrangements will be improved, and this will go a long way towards improving the quality of the work. The promised Messiah alayhi salatu wasalam, he has drawn the attention that analysis should be made. On one occasion he has said that the in charge of the langar kitchen, they should be always take care of the requirements of the people. As he is only one person, So some of the things may be out of his sight. So therefore, there should be somebody else to remind him. And the best way for the reminding is that and some people should be appointed for this reminder, who should keep an eye and see where there is a deficiency. And rich and the poor, they should be given equal type of hospitality. Hadhrat Promised Messiah ﷺ has guided us, and for our guidance he has mentioned and he has drawn our attention to certain small things, and very minutely he has taught us the manners of hospitality. For example, on one occasion he said that those people who are unaware, these guests, those and there are many guests here as well who come from other countries. So he said that it is our right that keeping in view all their requirements, we should make the arrangement. Sometime the people do not know where is the washing facility or the toilets, so they feel discomfort about that. So it is very essential that we should take special care about the convenience of the guest. And he said that those who are appointed for this type of facilities, it is their responsibility that they should never give any room for any complaint, because the people, they come from hundreds and thousands of miles, and only very dedicatedly they come here in order to find the truth. Although he mentioned this thing from the point of view of the non-Ahmadis, but Huzur says that our own Ahmadis as well, regarding the hospitality, we find certain statements from him where he has specially pointed out this thing. And as I have said, that those people who are non-Ahmadis, our guests, are the press representatives who attend our Jalsa. They also keep and take an analysis of the general happenings and the good manners of the workers, and their standard of the workers should be extremely very high. And then on one occasion the Promised Messiah ﷺ has said that according to my standard, if some guest is such if a guest come and he starts abusing, he goes to that limit, so one should simply tolerate that. So if a harsh attitude of the guest is there, we have to tolerate that, whether they are our own Ahmadis or other people. The standard of the hospitality of the Promised Messiah, the writer has mentioned. He has mentioned one incident that the Promised Messiah ﷺ, just like the Holy Prophet ﷺ, he is a living embodiment and example of the hospitality. And he says that those people, those who have the opportunity of being in his company in an extensive way, they know it fully well, that any guest, whether he is a member of the community or not, whether he is an Ahmadi or non-Ahmadi, if there is the least inconvenience confronted by him, and if there is a least type of inconvenience and difficulty, that makes him restless, very much worried. And for the devoted members of the community, he is all the more soft-hearted and very kind, and he is very particular about this. So this kindness and the care that this thing should be shown for all the guests during the Jalsa Salana. The Holy Prophet ﷺ mentioning the importance of the guest, and there is one narration in which it is said that the Holy Prophet ﷺ said that Allah, after the belief in Allah and the belief in the life after death, there are three things essential. One thing is that you always say something nice, otherwise keep quiet, and also respect your neighbors. And thirdly, that you show all the respect to your guest. So the respect of the guest is something, is one of the conditions of having belief in Allah and the life after death. And there are other conditions. So, and the high standards of the believer, one hospitality is one of those conditions. Regarding hospitality, I may mention that the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to take care about the religious condition and the improvement of that. He used to take care of that, according to one narration. So after feeding the people and offering the food to them, then according to their desire, they were sent to the mosque for the to take rest and to sleep in the mosque and the department of Tarbiyat. And in the morning they were woken up to go to the prayer. The department of Tarbiyat, they should continuously remind the people for Tahajjud and Fajr prayer. They should wake them up, but very softly and kindly, in a very respectful way. So these are the things which I have mentioned regarding the guests and the Allah Almighty enable all the workers to look after the guest of the promised Messiah ﷺ in the best possible manner. And after the prayer, I am going to lead to Namaz Janazah. The first one is Sayyid Muhammad Ahmad Sahib, Hadhrat Dr. Mir Muhammad Ismail Sahib, who passed away on 13th of July at the age of 92. He passed away in Lahore. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi rajiun. He was the eldest son of Dr. Mir Muhammad Ismail Sahib, and in this way Hadhrat Amajan was his aunt. He was married, his daughter of the youngest daughter of Hadhrat Mirza Bashir Ahmad Sahib. He got married to her, and he was the youngest son-in-law of the Hadhrat Mirza Bashir Ahmad Sahib. Hadhrat Dr. Mir Muhammad Ismail Sahib got married twice. The second was with Shaukat Sahiba, and there was no progeny from that. And the second was with Amtul Latif Sahib, in 1917. She was Muhammad Shafi Sahib, Muhasib Sadr in Ahmadiyya's daughter was she. And from this marriage, he was blessed 7 sons from this marriage and some daughters. And from Qadian, in 1939, he passed the matriculation examination. And then BSc from Government College Lahore. And in 43, Royal Indian Air Force, as flight cadet, he joined the service. His wife, Amtul Latif Sahib, the daughter of Hadhrat Mirza Bashir Ahmad Sahib, the 3 sons and 1 daughter. One is Hashim Akbar Sahib, he is the president of Hartlepool Jamaat here in UK, and 1 daughter is Aisha, she is in America. And one thing which he wrote himself, he was enrolled as flight cadet and in the World War I, and he participated in the Baitul war, and on Burma front he was performing his duty. In 1945 he had to go for the crash landing. The plane was destroyed, but he was saved by the grace of Allah. And in 1947 he was transferred in Civil Aviation Department, Indian National Airways. He performed the duties there of flying. And the situation in 1947, Dr. Muhammad Ismail Sahib He passed away in 1947, but he was not able to attend the funeral. He arrived there few days later to Qadian. And the historical incident or the attachment of the Jamaat, one incident when he was in Air Force, that at the time of partition, Hadhrat Muslim Maud Razillah Ta'ala purchased 2 small planes. There was a need of pilot. One night I got the message that Hadhrat Mirza Bashir Ahmad Sahib said that you come here. And he said immediately he started for Qadian. And when I arrived there, it was decided that the in charge of Hadhrat Mirza Nasir Ahmad Sahib was Khalifatul Masih Salis, who was the president of Khudamul Ahmadiyya at that time. He would be in charge and he would be working under him anyway. And all the necessary arrangements was there, and he used to take some important things to Pakistan by way of luggage. And one very important and interesting incident is that one day in the morning, he says that Hadhrat Muslim Maud Razillah Ta'ala, he asked me to come to his office in Qasr Khilafat, and he said that now I'm giving you the most precious thing which you have to take to Lahore and take it to Hadhrat Mirza Bashir Ahmad Sahib. And regarding the care and the protection of this most precious thing, so you have to mention it to Sheikh Sahib in the same wording as I am telling you, and you have to get the receipt of this thing which you have to give me back. And Mirza says that I was not so mature in mind at that time. I thought maybe that Huzur might be giving me some the treasurer of the Jamaat, the monetary the money or the treasurer. So the Khalifatul Masih Sani stood up and he gave me a very old travel bag, and some part of it was broken as well, and it was filled with papers. So he put that bag in front of me, that this is the part of the commentary of the Holy Quran. Some part of it has already been published, some of the part has not yet been published, but there are a lot of other portions are such, and the writing of tafsir is yet to be done. And this is one great mission of my life, is to complete this commentary. So this is my habit, whether during day and night, whether I am doing something else, walking and sitting, whatever I think, if there is any new meaning concerning any verse of the Holy Quran comes to my mind, so I write it on a piece of paper and I put it in this bag and keep it there, so that I can make use of that at the required time. So it is not necessary that if there is any order in these arrangement of this writing in this book, but it was something very useful to me. So he says, Mirza says, I took this bag and I put it in the airplane and took it to Pakistan. And Sheikh Bashir Ahmad Sahib, I called him from the airport and I handed it over him and got a receipt from him. And it's a very long incident which he narrated. So this is a historical incident which is related to him regarding the extensive work that the Hadhrat Muslim Maud, and he emphasized that please take care about it. Anyway, in 1950, Hadhrat Muslim Maud told him that now you can go back to the Air Force, where he performed his duties until 65. And he as in the office of Wing Commander, he was appointed at the end. And during this period, he joined certain advanced courses in England as well, from 60 to 63. He was a Commandant Staff College in Quetta. He was also attending there. He attended there, and he was in charge of war planning. When in 1953 he came here for attending a course here. At that time, Chaudhry Zuhur Bajwa Sahib was the missionary in charge here. So he says that after finishing my training, because there were a few days before my flight back, so I stayed in Bajwa Sahib in the mission house. And he says that I had the opportunity of meeting Colonel Douglas through Bajwa Sahib. He introduced and I got the opportunity. And Colonel Douglas Sahib, we went to him. So he said, so I asked him regarding that court litigation of the Promised Messiah. I asked him something about that. So Colonel Sahib said, the Deputy Commissioner at that time, who was in Gurdaspur, and before this incident, when there was an incident of killing the people, there was one incident related to that, which I am going to tell you. And Captain Douglas said that I start the story from there. He says that he said that that at that time I was Assistant Commissioner of Batala. One day I was coming back to Amritsar from Batala. Colonel Douglas told him this historical incident, that I was on the first class compartment and the last compartment of the train, and before starting I got a message from the officer that I will meet you at the railway station of Batala. Colonel Douglas said that when the train arrived in Batala, so Assistant Commissioner Gurdaspur was not on the platform, so I thought that he might be searching for him in some other compartment. So I walked very quickly. I started moving towards the front of the train. And Colonel Douglas told him that when I had covered 2/3 of the passage of the path of the platform, then I saw somebody who is coming from in the front, very bright face, and his eyes are low, and there was attraction in his face that I was completely shaken up. And Colonel Sahib said that as if the man is totally unconcerned with the world, and he was going. So it was not possible for me to take my eyes away from the bright face of that. I continued looking into his face. The person came and passed by, and still I continued looking at him, and I used to turn. And it so happened that I started in the backward, because the Promised Messiah ﷺ passed by him, so he changed his direction, and as if he started walking in the backward direction, so that I could see that person. He says that at that time the assistant station master, who was an Indian, he also came out with his flag in his hand, and when I was moving on the wrong direction, then I collided with him and fell down, and the assistant station master fell down, and he started begging forgiveness, but I said it's not your fault. So but I asked him that this person who is going there, who is he? So station master said, don't you know him? He is the Mirza Sahib of Qadian. So then he said that I became very emotional. Such inspirational face I have never seen before, and this the impact of that was there for a long time, and gradually it faded away. And then he says that when I was appointed as a judge, in that case, when I read the file regarding the Promised Messiah, so then I saw that the file is very complete, and the case which has been built up, that has been made very properly, and when the person excused must be given some punishment. But when I read that the person accused is Mirza Ghulam Ahmad of Qadian, that I was shaken. But I remembered what happened several years ago, so my heart was not willing to accept that the face which I saw on the railway station of Batala, he could ever do like that, or even think about doing that. So he said I was very much worried, and I remained confused and worried for many days, and I tried to find out any fault there, but I couldn't. But in this, I asked for an English deputy, and so that I can consult the case with him. So DSP, I asked him that Abdul Hamid, the person who has accused the promised Messiah, that God forbid, he has appointed him to kill. And is it in the custody of police or is it of the church? So DSP was very much realized, he was taken aback, because the police had kept not in their custody, rather it was given to the custody of the church. And he immediately, and when the the DSP, the Englishman, came back, he said that we have left the Abdul Hamid with the church people, and now we have taken into our custody the police, and he has admitted that only in order to get the money from the church I have made a false claimant. So when the proceedings started, then I listened to the evidence on both sides, and the colonel says that I acquitted Hadhrat Mirza Sahib with honor. And after that, I asked him that if you wish, then those people who brought the case against you, you can make a claim against them. But he said, no, I don't want, because our case is with Allah Almighty. I don't require any penalty for that. So these are the two historical incidents. One was to bring the important things at the time of partition, and also these things. But this has been heard many times, but these things are, those people who have not read or heard it earlier, they would find it very good. And he was the eldest son of Hadhrat Dr. Mir Muhammad Ismail Sahib, and the Intikhab Khilafat committee, the committee for the election of the Caliph, being the eldest son of the companion, he was a member. And at the time, Khilafat Salsa and Rabia and Khamsa, he was a member of the committee, election committee. And he said that at the time of the election of the Caliph, and the feeling on the based on that feeling, I can bear witness that Khilafat is actually granted by Allah Almighty. And sometimes a person is thinking somebody else, but the one who is to be appointed Khalifa by Allah Almighty, then Allah Almighty, makes it possible. He was a man of full of prayer, and a very quiet person, very humble, and the love and affection with the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that he had. His daughter says that he had great intense love with the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and always asked me that you try to feel the nearness of the Holy Prophet. Just simple ceremonial prayer is nothing. And then she says that the Sirat, the noble character of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he used to read, tears would come to his eyes, and he would mention various aspects of the noble character of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam with great emotions. And in worldly things, he was a good swimmer. He used to remember Allah Almighty. The remembrance of Allah continued. And as a father, he was very kind and looked after all the children and always gave them the good advice. And also the attachment with the Khilafat, he used to emphasize. With me after the Khilafat, he especially built up a special relationship, and he was devotion and loyalty. He expressed Allah Almighty exalt his status and treat him very nicely. And all his children may also be enabled to follow in the goodness of their father, in all the good actions. The second janaza of Mukarrama Mahmuda Begum Sahiba, wife of Chaudhry Muhammad Siddiq Sahib, who is a missionary. Asghar Ali Sahib Bhatti's mother, Niger, in 16 July at the age of 73, she passed away. In Allahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. In his family, the Ahmadiyyat came in 1928 when his grandfather Chaudhry Sarwar Khan Sahib accepted Ahmadiyyat. And his son writes that man was very careful in spending and a very humble and modest life. He was very respectful lady and always showed patience throughout, with steadfastness, attachment with great attachment with Khilafat. always participated in Jamaat activities, very simple and looking after the poor people, the great love with the prayer and the Holy Quran. She used to wake me up for Tahajjud, and she said that I started Tahajjud before the marriage, and I don't remember that I have ever left it because of slackness. And after finishing the domestic chore, then she would stand in prayer. And the husband was president of the community for 28 years, and she looked after the hospitality of all the guests who used to come. And always she took active part in their hospitality. And the son writes that despite the poverty, the financial weaknesses, but she looked after the guest, and when there was the hard hand was tight, then he used to pray and looked after the education of the children. And for the education of the children, she spent her jewelry as well. And and she suffered the loss of the brothers and parents, and never complained about that. Their 2 granddaughters also passed away. She was Musia. She has left the husband, 2 sons and 6 daughters. Asghar Ali Bhatti, as I said, is a missionary in Niger. And because of being in the field of Tabligh, he was unable to attend the janazah. Allah Almighty may exalt the status of his mother, and all the prayers that she made for the progeny, Allah accept them and enable the children to follow in her footstep in acts of virtue.